All right, so hello, we are a research team. Dr. Kathleen Paciga is on her way to drive, but she can listen to our presentation. And Dr. Melanie Koss is here to the presentation. But I'm going to lead the presentation, and Melanie or Katie will jump in for further explanation. That's the plan for today's presentation. So in this presentation, we are going to share resources of children's literature in the United States as a global resources. So acclaimed children's literatures in the United States may be utilized as resources to instruct global issues. And the American scholar Dr. Bishop explains that children's books play a role as a mirror to see themselves and the window to see others' culture and the world, and the sliding glass doors to transport themselves to the world. So as children's literature reflects social context and values, and acclaimed books may provide curricular materials for those within the United States and to international audiences. And Dr. Thiel and the scholars also emphasize children's literature as a tool to critically think about socially constructed experience, belief, and knowledge. So we believe that exploring children's literature honored in the United States context, we can learn more about what's the value in this country. So stakeholders, including librarians, national industry experts, parents, and teachers are those teachers. So to better understand the meaning of quality children's literature in the United States, we investigate the histories of a range of acclaimed lists across the United States stakeholder groups with the following research questions. So the first research question is, who are the stakeholders to provide children's literature to children's hands? The second question is, then how do they determine so-called acclaim and what are their criteria for the quality children's literature for American, for children? And what are the titles that are more universally acclaimed and which can reflect to the value of United States? So those are three research questions for the current study. So we define acclaimed literature to children's literature publicly praised and celebrated by its quality and popularity in the United States. There are so many awards that give acclaim to children's literature in the United States. So these awards and lists come from a range of stakeholders. And then the factors maybe vary across longevity and genre and timing, criteria and text quality versus visual quality, something like that. So we are going to check each question and answer to answer the questions. So first question is, who are the stakeholders? Here is the figure that we listed, listed the acclaimed children's literature according to the different stakeholders. So for example, the first column on the screen, Association for Library Service to Children, so-called ALSC. ALSC Youth Media Awards and affiliates include several awards such as Newbery Medal or Pure Belpre Award for the children's literature published in America. And teacher professional organizations also report acclaimed books, such as International Literacy Association's notable children's books for a global society, and top 100 lists for the more like a commercial stakeholders and industry experts list to honor quality children's literature. So as a result, we searched 22 awards and acclaimed the U.S. children's book list, as you can see on the screen. And we also searched for the information about these resources regarding histories and purpose and criteria for that awards. then we can learn more about how these stakeholders determine acclaim and what do they look for. So here are the results of each awards and acclaimed books reported. As you can see on the screen, some awards acclaim distinguished literature in general, so-called quality children's literature published in America. Some awards specifically target certain groups of people in the United States. So this type of a variety and recognition reflect the America's values in diversity. So for example, Pura Valpre Awards, it's specifically targeting Latino cultural experiences. And Coretta Scott King Awards is specifically targeting Black people's population's experiences, something like that. Publishers usually send the books to jurors for evaluation, and jurors consist of experts in children's literature fields, such as educators, scholars, and librarians in the field of children's literature. And each award has their own specific kind of evaluation criteria to meet the goal of the awards. So for example, Caldecott Awards, you can see that list on the first line from the upper, from the top. So Caldecott Awards recognize the distinguished illustrators to children's literature published in the United States. So as the award recognizes the important role of visuals in children's literature, the jurors investigate the quality of illustrations free from stereotypes or whitewashing or other derogatory content. And the Schneider Family Book Awards, first line from the bottom, that awards also kind of specifically focus on the certain groups of people, like on the representation of a protagonist or a secondary character in disability, instead of their representation as a background or bystanders in the content. And compared to the Librarian Services Awards, teacher professional organizations' recognition of quality books expanded their views on language diversity as acclaimed by NCTE, National Council of Teachers of English. Yeah, and ILA, the International Literacy Association's notable books are also awarded by scholars who are the members of the children's literature and reading special interest group of that association to guarantee the jurors experts in the field. The awards affiliated with the professional associations such as the ILA or NCTE, as you can see on the screen, may provide evaluation criteria saying the reflection of a pluralistic view of a word, society, and accuracy and authenticity of the of the text and the illustration. An approach that honors and celebrates diversity, unlike the National Education Association's top 100 list, which is the popularity of teachers' use of the books in class. So you can see the differences, like ILA and NCTE, they are teacher professional organization, but they focus more on the specific criteria to evaluate the quality of the literature. But the same teacher professional organization, NEA, they focus more on more practical list for teachers' use of the books in class. And these are kind of a top, so-called top lists. They are likely to report more kind of a popular book list. So for example, National Public Radios, like so NPR Summer 22 Top 100 list, they explained that they asked radio audiences to tell their favorite kids' books, but the details are missing, such as like how to approach the audiences to collect their answers or the number of favorite books, etc. And New York Public Library, the New York Public Library's list also kind of report top 100 books for children, teens, and adults. But their selection process is also a little bit unclear. According to their website, the information is that like our expert librarians selected the year's best books for kids, teens, and adults. So we don't know about their specific rationale or guideline to define best books for children. And the last category of stakeholders in our analysis is industry experts. And the awards have a long history to celebrate children's literature and their authors from 1960s in the United States. And most awards and acclaimed book lists that we have looked through so far have a strict authorship, like the authors and illustrators should be American citizens or residents. But when it comes to the Boston Globe Hornbook, they open to writers and illustrators by citizens of any country. And National Book Award, they were restricted to the U.S. citizen for authors and illustrators eligibility. But this year in 2024, they announced that they will kind of accept non-citizens products as well for the nomination. So that's a kind of a trend we are looking for to invite diversity in the United States. When it comes to the entry to the awards, most awards and acclaimed book list ask to send a copy to each juror for the consideration. However, National Book Award asks some money, like a fee, entry fee, $135 entry fee for each title submission, and additional fees are requested to contribute promotional campaign if the submitted book becomes a finalist. And top 100 list, they also provide a link for the commercial kind of a selling points. So this is some kind of things that we needed to notice when it comes to the awarded and acclaimed children's literature across the stakeholders. And we also pulled some kind of a guidelines for each award. So when it comes to the eligibility of author and illustrator, general kind of eligibility and criteria for text and illustration. Yep. So visualizing the criteria shows the unique kind of traits of acclaimed list by different stakeholder groups, and also it reflects the values of a diversity in the United States. So our last question about then, what are the titles that are more universally acclaimed in the United States? So as shared earlier, a database was compiled across 4 categories as captured in spring 2021 and 2021. So we have 22 awards and acclaimed book lists, which contains more than 4,000 children's literature. And we have kind of sorted out narrowed down the overlapped children's literature to show the diversity acclaimed in the United States. So here are the samples of titles across the grade levels. And these samples are for 3rd to 4th graders, children's and young adult literature. And these are all kind of samples for 6th to 8th graders. So from that kind of a corpus of the literature, we found that instead of imaginative monsters or anthropomorphic characters, the awarded and acclaimed book list are likely to include human characters with diverse identities in various settings. So nowadays, America used mosaic as a metaphor to represent different and diverse cultural and regional identities. So we can say that our kind of a investigation reflects the diversity and the value of the United States. Our group's study reflects America's children's literature as a global resources, but we also recognize the values of other countries' children's literature as global resources. So here are the further resources that U.S. scholars and educators reference in their research and education. All right, thank you so much for watching and listening to our conversation, the presentation.